Marlowe's introduction to Adam. Marlowe is a young man who's 19. He was raised in foster homes in Queens and very poorly treated. And at a certain point in his life, finds a job with a vampire, working during the day, doing those things vampires need done during the day. And needless to say, because he's Adam's #1 go-to boy, when the baby turns up, he's sent to go get it. It's sort of like, great, wonderful. And the first time doesn't go well and he gets punished. Adam finds the baby at one point and is about to send Marlowe back. And this is Marlowe on his way to his little task and kind of remembering what got him into this in the first place. Chapter 59, 3:16 a.m., Upper East Side, 1st of January, 1987. He'd been waiting almost an hour for a train. Marlowe could have walked home by now. He looked around and lit a cigarette when he was sure there were no cops around to search him and find his weed. There was no one on the Lexington Avenue line platform but him. Everyone else in the city was on a holiday. His only company was a few rats on the tracks. He threw his match at them. They darted back behind the rails, seemed to check him out before they disappeared into the tunnels. Marlowe thought about the night that had gotten him into this mess, the night he'd met Adam Kane. It was like any other danceteria. Marlowe had moved from floor to floor of the three-story club, from hip-hop to techno, mixed his music like he'd mixed his drinks for maximum effect. He pushed his way past a crowd of people in line at a bathroom door, acted like he worked at the club to get in first, and opened the door to a scene from a Dario Argento movie, pure Italian slasher porn. A red-haired man was crouched on the tile floor over the body of a girl, her throat all but ripped out, her blood on his face and body, puddles all around them. She must have struggled on her way down. There were wet handprints and streaky finger lines across the walls and mirrors. Marlowe backed up when the man looked up and bared bloody fangs. There were shouts to be let in as people online protested. Marlowe slipped back outside and shut the door behind him. Sorry, folks, gotta close this up. Someone's sick, puke all over big chunks, projectile up and down the walls, across the floor. The crowd dispersed, disgusted, as he continued to describe what he assured them they didn't want to see. Marlowe ducked back inside and locked the door behind him. When he turned, the room was spotless and the man was immaculate, combing his hair in a mirror. Marlowe stared. The man continued to comb until he seemed satisfied. No, you didn't imagine it. The next moment, the room around him was the butcher shop he'd seen before. Body back on the floor, walls and tiles smeared and splashed with fresh blood. Then it was all gone again. I control the vertical. I control the horizontal. The man laughed. I could have walked out of here sight unseen. Quick thinking, though. I like that in my staff. Marlowe wasn't sure he'd heard right. Felt himself grinning before he even realized he had his hand out to shake on the deal. He froze as he got closer to the vampire, but didn't pull it back. You're not going to eat me, are you? The vampire smiled and moved close to Marlowe in a weird way that was super fast and slow motion at the same time. He spoke softly, directly into Marlowe's ear. Not tonight. He took Marlowe's hand, gripped it firmly, and they shook. The sweaty palm of the boy pressed against the cool, dry skin of the undead. There was a series of coded knocks on the door, and he released Marlowe's hand. Welcome aboard. Let them in. Marlowe unlocked the door, and 6 people in black coveralls entered with a body bag, buckets, and tools. His cleanup crew. The vampire dropped his illusion, and the room reverted to real. While 2 of them packed up the body, the others cleaned the room, scrubbed down blood and gore, left things sparkling clean. They all exited unseen with the body, followed by the vampire. He handed Marlowe a card as he left. The name was Adam Kane. The address was 5th Avenue. Marlowe could smell the money. Tomorrow, sunset, bring the Times of the Journal. Marlowe was there the next night and everyone after. He'd done well working for Adam, and even though he lived like a pauper and saved his money for the future, his reward was supposed to be what he really wanted, ever since he'd seen Adam crouched bloody on the floor and realized that vampires were real. Realized that something he'd only seen in movies and TV shows was something he could have, something Adam wouldn't give. He'd made the mistake of being too useful. Marlowe was only a skinny black kid from a group home in Jersey, but there were people he knew, places he could go, things he could do that Adam couldn't, even with all his powers. He'd seen Marlowe's potential from the first moment they met, when few others had. Adam was better off with Marlowe alive and able to move in daylight for him. As long as Marlowe was Adam's day agent, he'd never get to cross over to the dark side. He had to find a way to force Adam's hand, to make him see that he'd be better off with Marlowe working for him as a vampire. An express train roared through the station and distracted him. Marlowe stepped closer to the edge of the platform to see if a local was coming in. Something moved below the edge. He stepped back, away from the tracks. He'd worked for Adam long enough to know that there are things that go bump in the night, and that it's best to avoid them. He'd forgotten that there are things that can't be avoided and come for you, no matter how fast you run. Marlowe backed away from the edge of the platform, but pale things waited behind, surrounded him, closed in, and sent him into a light hypnotic sleep. The autochthonies lifted Marlowe and carried him out of the station, down to the tracks, and into the endless tunnels of the subway system.